Hey people, what is going on? I'm the Broken Puppet and welcome back to my drawing tutorials. Got a really fun one today. I'm doing a really cool classic old school sugar skull. If it's your first time to my channel, make sure you click subscribe. I've got hundreds of videos. I'm sure you guys are going to find something you like. So yeah, make sure you click the subscribe button down there and sign up. But for now people, here we go. Old school classic sugar skull. So what I've done here, I've just marked out some little dots. I've made it a little bit darker than what you should do. Make sure you do them a little bit light because you don't kind of get in the way. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down the bottom, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going up. So I've just got 5 rows of 6 dots going up. Now the idea of this, because it's going to be a symmetric design, it's just going to help us get everything in proportion. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come across the middle one up here. So I go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to start off with this one. And I'm going to do a circle from here. So I'm going to do a circle, pretty much going from this middle kind of gap here. So it's going to go about 2.5, or say 1.5 sort of squares across. So I'm going to sketch this in just very roughly. So it's going to sketch up there, get to about here. It's going to sketch around. Again, it's going to come to about here. It just helps keep everything sort of like fairly nice and even. Now don't worry if it's not perfect, you know, it's just a sketching part. You know, the detail comes later on. So I'm going to start off with this bit. It's going to be the top of the head. So once you've got the top of the head done, we're going to need position for the eyes. So I'm going to do this little circle, say here. And a circle here. So keeping that roughly in position. We've got this one here. I'm just going to bring this little sort of triangle shape in this kind of gap. Roughly around here. And then we've got these two sections just so I'm going to bring these lines down. Like so. And then from about halfway in this gap here, I'm going to curve this around. It's going to leap outside that space and come up. Same on this side, so I go outside the space, cut up into that circle. Just there. Gonna have another little circle just here. Another little circle just here. The idea is going to be like the cheekbones. And then this little line cutting through the center part just here is going to be where the teeth are going to go. So it's going to be like the center part of the mouth. You can bring another little line underneath that if you want, and a little line just above it, just to kind of mark out where your teeth are going to go. So we've got a rough sort of idea of the placement. You know, placement is key. If you don't have this kind of sort of structure to begin with, it's going to be really hard to make everything be where it should be towards the end. So now I've got this done, I'm going to start off with the basics. I'm going to start off with the nose. So start from the circle bit, I'm going to go in this triangle shape. I'm going to make this curve come around. So it's going to be a bit of an upside down love heart shape. So I'm going to curve this up, and I'm going to curve back around like this, and loop back into that space just there. So you've got this upside down love heart shape for the nose. Now you can do it like a club bit, a little bit underneath it, but I tend not to do that little sort of triangle bit underneath. Now coming from here, I'm going to bring a little sort of, you know, circle sort of shape kind of above it, curving down. So from like the widest points, curving up and around. Just kind of gives you an idea of the positioning of the nose, how that sort of sits. And once you have that, you know, this line here is going to be almost in touch with the top bit. So when we come across here, a little nail above, and that's going to be the top of the eyes. So for the eyes, I'm going to bring this line upwards like this. And when I come to this bit here, I'm going to start to curve it. You can do them perfectly circular. Sometimes they are perfectly circular, but I just prefer not to do that. I prefer to have a little bit more shape to it. So I'm going to curve this down like this and curve it around. Make sure your eye is slightly bigger than your nose. Now if the eyes are smaller, it just looks a little bit weird sometimes. I'm not a fan of it. Do the same thing on the other side now. Get it as symmetric as you can do. Now don't worry if it's not 100% spot on, but just try to get as spot on as you can. So we've got the eyes roughly in there now, we've got the nose. And then what I'm going to do, come across here. So we've got this cheekbone. I'm going to curve this like this. And when it gets to here, I'm going to curve this in. And this is going to loop in front of this line. So it's going to curve down like this. And when it comes up here, I'm going to curve this up. It's going to curve around this eye shape. So you're going to mimic this kind of eye shape to here. And you're going to curve and flick it outwards as it goes up. Now you can do the same thing on the other side now. So you're going to curve that up and use your dots as markers. So like here, I've gone through that dot bit there. So now when I do this side, I want to go through that dot as well. You know, that's the purpose of the grid. It kind of helps you get everything in the same rough positions. You know, you look here, this is about, say, roughly about halfway through this. So as I curve this, it's going to go roughly about halfway through this curve. It's going to curve up there. It's going to curve this way and curve like that. So see, so you've got your rough sort of cheekbones in there now. Now I've got that, I'm going to sort of mark in this head shape. So I'm going to bring this up. Just kind of reinforce that shape a touch. Just so you kind of got that roughly in there, like so. And once you've got done, you're going to come down and going to start with the teeth now. So what I'd like to do is to line down the centre, because you obviously want your two front teeth. You want to make sure they kind of, you know, sit in this, you know, centre line just here. So I'm going to bring this line around here. You've got to make sure your top two teeth are going to be bigger than your small ones. Unless you want to do circles, you can do oval shapes and just cut them in half. You know, it's a real simple way of doing it. I'll tell you what, actually, let's just mark in the oval shapes and make it easier, and then we can sort of shape the details afterwards. So we're going to do these long ovals. They're going to fit within this gap. I like to have the two centre ones a little bit bigger, and maybe the sort of ones across, you know, two across, where the kind of fangs would be. If you want, you can make them a little bit bigger. You don't necessarily have to. Bring them back, and make sure you come back to that line, not to this line, to this line. And once you're going to get there, stop. You don't want to go too far. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 there, so I want to make sure that matches up. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Get them fairly nice and even. Need to bring that line just across the touch, just on that bit of this there, so it matches up. Now I'm going to come down from this top part, so I'm going to curve this down. Just going to curve down. Come down to the bottom. Now you can create a sort of like, you know, sort of circle it all the way around if you want. You know, that's perfectly good to do. You know, if you want to sort of change it up, what you can do is when you get to here, just kind of bump it around a little touch, so it's kind of a little curve, just like this in the centre. Just gives like a nice kind of shape to the jaw, it makes it a little bit different. Now you've got to remember, it's a sugar skull, so it's a bit more kind of sort of shapely. It ends up looking a bit more sort of like a Terminator skull. You know, in the actual structure of it, than an actual real skull. You know, it's the way sugar skulls are, because the idea is going to be sort of like more design based inside it, so you want to look a bit more kind of parallel than an actual skull would. You know, that's the whole kind of purpose of it. And now what I'm going to do inside the teeth, I'm going to create the little lines. So I'm going to create these little curves on each one of these gaps in the middle. And I'm not going to, but if you wanted to, you can create this little secondary curve. It just goes over the top of each teeth across. Depends how much space you've got in between the nose and the teeth, how big you've done them. You know, it's a very nice little touch. I'm not going to do it on this one low, because I don't feel like it needs it. So now we've got it sort of done. This is the basic sort of structure. So now we've got this done. I'm going to mark this in pen. So I was going to use your Sharpie for most of this and use a thinner line for the teeth maybe. But yeah, here we go. So I'm just going over everything we've just done just with a Sharpie pen. Just get a nice bold line. Now you can use a thinner pen if you want. I'm just a fan of my Sharpies. You know, if you're familiar with my tutorials, you know I sort of love my Sharpies. Curve it up around. Get it around there. So I'm probably going to move a little bit. I've kind of got the camera where my head should be, so I'm going to have to move my head around the camera a little bit. Little curve line there, little curve line there, so the teeth kind of match up. Just there. And I'm going to get the centre line bold, I think. I might do the other ones thinner. I'm going to do it thin to begin with, and if I want to go thicker, I'll go thicker afterwards. But I'm looking at it, and I think sometimes the thinner line looks quite nice. So I've got Unipin fine liner here. This is size 0.8. It's basically just a smaller liner than the Sharpie is. You know, it hasn't got to be the same size, just as long as it's smaller than the Sharpie. Just curve those shapes around until you get to the edge. Bottom one's in there. Just make sure you're matching up the same number of teeth as well. You don't want to have like more teeth on the bottom than you do the top. You know, probably look a little bit weird that way. You know, you don't particularly want that. So now I've got it done. I'm going to bring this line down here. I'm just going to curve this around the outside edge of these teeth on the side parts, just here. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to create this little curved line. It's going to curve up, just here, and just there. So you've got this little space in between these parts of the cheek. So now you've got this in, this is the main sort of structural parts. And now we've got the main structural parts, we can start working out on like little details. So what I'm going to start with, around the eye, a very sort of common one, we're going to use these sort of semicircle shapes, about the same sort of size. Now I'm going to keep going around. We're not going to touch the actual skull. You can do if you want to, but for mine I'm not going to. And it's going to keep this pattern going around. It's going to make the eyes look kind of sort of like flowers. So it's going to do that on both eyes, just going all the way around. Like so. Just sketch me in there to begin with, so you kind of got it from in there. I'm going to go in the pen now, just each time, so you can kind of see what we're doing. So I'm just going to go over the pen, just keeping them roughly about the same size. You know, if one or two is a little bit off, you know, just try not to, but don't beat yourself up, you know, it's probably not going to be noticeable. You know, if doing it as a tattoo, then fair enough, but you know, on paper, it hasn't got to be 100% perfect, you know, it's... I see too many people beating them up because they don't get 100% perfect. There's always going to be something not perfect about a drawing, you know, nothing's ever going to be 100% perfect. And personally, I don't think it should be. You know, aim to get it as neat as possible, you know, but if you did get 100% perfect, you know, you might as well just like machine print it. You know, it's got to know there's no human aspect there, you know, there's nothing unique about it, you know, you want to make sure it's got something a bit kind of human about it, I guess. So now we've got that done now, I'm going to bring this line up around the nose bit. Remember that line we done before? Nothing crazy, just a little curved line just there, like so. And then once we've got it done, I'm just going to get my rubber, just kind of rub out some of the bits we don't need. So it's kind of getting in my way a little bit now. Just be careful you don't rub your pencil work, pen work. You know, Sharpies dry really quick. Unipin liners sometimes take a little bit. You know, it depends on the paper you're using. You know, I'm using Bristol board paper, so it tends to absorb it fairly quickly. But on yours, you might want to give it just a tiny bit of time just to sink in there so it doesn't smudge. If that makes sense. So now when it's done, you can do the same kind of pattern around the nose if you want. I tend not to do that. You know, sometimes what I do is, I'll do it on this one, is bring little secondary lines just around the top of the nose, like this. Just coming down that, like so. And the whole idea of this now is putting sort of the pattern work in there. Now the pattern work usually consists of swirls, leaves, flowers, diamonds. Sometimes you have a cross, sometimes you have a little keyhole, you know, but those are usually ones. You can have sort of have stuff like little stars and little kind of detail circles if you want, but those are the main components, so, excuse me. So I'm going to start adding these in here. So I'm going to come from the top, and usually on the center part here, you normally have something across here. You can sometimes have a spider web, you know, down here, so you get like lines coming across like this. For this one, I'm not going to have spider web, I'm going to have a flower. So I'm going to mark out that center point, so I'm going to get a little circle shape just here. I'm going to get a secondary little circle line, just kind of mimicking around that. I'm going to bring a line down the center like this, one coming out this way, and one coming out there. So whatever I'm doing on one side, I'm doing on the other side, so it's nice and symmetric. And I'm going to bring this down, curve this around, and come here. So you've got this bump up, a little bump in the center part, curving that into it. I'm going to do that again, going out this way until it connects onto the side. Like so. Little lines down the center of each one of these. I'm going to put a little triangle kind of flower bit just in the center of each one of these. So a little sort of triangle kind of leafy bit just there. Maybe just a bit connects on the top part of the head, just on the outsides. So we've got a first flower in there. So once you've got the top part here, I mean, you can go a bit smaller if you want, or bigger. You know, if you want to kind of sort of take up that sort of section there. So the idea is you want something here. You're going to want something in the center part of the head, so you're going to want some sort of feature here. Something, you know, sometimes which I quite like to do to kind of pose as almost like eyebrows, so something that kind of sits in these angles. Something just to detail these little bits, you know, if you've got a little space, maybe a swirl. Something on the chin just here, and then something coming down this way and this way. You know, I wouldn't worry too much here. You can have something like a moustache above here if you want, but you don't necessarily have to put anything really in this space if you don't want to. But the key areas are here, here, side bits, eyebrows if you want them, a bit at the bottom, and two swirls coming down this way and this way. So I'm going to start from this in a bit here. So I'm going to do like a keyhole, because it's a very classic one. So I'm going to do a little circle, like this in the center. And I'm going to do this long sort of triangular shape, just here. And I'm going to do these little lines just flicking around the outside like this, to fill in this space. Try to get as symmetric as possible. Once I've got done here, I'm going to get the eyebrow. So for the eyebrow, I'm going to do a simple swirl. It's going to curve around like this. It's going to loop around. Get a line curving out. It's going to loop around. Just real simple. then just here on the side, I'm gonna have a little kind of fireplace. So it kind of sits in this kind of corner. So a little sort of circle shape, two bits curving in. And again, it's gonna curve onto another kind of sort of spiral shape. So it's gonna curve up. And then my secondary spiral is gonna curve up and go there. So it's gonna go one spiral, and the little spiral is coming in there. And that two little circles, just kind of adding that sort of space just there and there. So you can see that's the top part of the head just there done. I'm going to come across here, and what I like to have is these cheek bits. I like to have a sort of shape coming this way and this way. So for this one, I'm going to have a teardrop shape like this. I might carry that through 1, 2, 3. So it kind of goes in that sort of space. I'm going to use shading above this mouth part rather than adding anything particularly in the above the teeth. Bring a little curved line just down here. I'm going to get a bit of shading on these corners. Down here I'm going to have this sort of spiral shape curving inwards, so it's going to curve down and loop around. I'm going to have two of those, so it's going to curve down like so. One there and there. And the centre part here, I'm going to have this sort of curve like this, and I'm going to have a bit similar to the eye kind of pattern. This kind of sort of like flowery kind of pattern coming on the outside. So now I've got those in now, I'm going to quickly pen those in, so you can see those nice and clearly. Really got to move this camera, it's really in my way. So I'm going to get this circle line, this centre part of the flower, the secondary circle line we put in there, little lines, flower parts, and then the outside pattern. Little lines just in the centre of each one of those. Little triangle petals. Little eyebrow swell. Little circle just for detail. Flower section, and then these two curves just filling up this space just here. Get little teardrops underneath the eyes. There and there. Flower bit on the bottom. And then get these curves coming down here. And there. So now I've got that done again, I'm just going to grab my rubber, just rub out all those little bits we don't need now. Now I'm going to shading. So I'm going to use Winsor and brush markers for these, but you can use whatever you want. You can use normal pencils, you can use markers, paints, whatever you have handy really. Don't sort of feel like you have to be limited to anything because you see someone else using it. Just use what you have handy. So I said this is what I'm going to be using. Going to be using my black brush. There we go. So we'll start off with, I think, the eyes and the nose, because I know I want to do a nose. I sometimes put diamonds and stuff inside the eyes, but this one I'm looking at, and I think it's going to look pretty cool if I just do a black fade down. Yeah, normally I'd put like either flowers or something in the eyes. But just show it doesn't always need it. Yeah, it depends on the design. I'm looking at this, I really kind of feel like it doesn't need it. So I've got black there, and there, halfway through. And I'm gonna come now with my grey tones. I'm gonna go my darkest grey, which for this one is the Winsor & Newton CG5. I'm just gonna blend across that black, using a side-to-side motion. Same way you do if you start water painting or something like that. You wanna use a side-to-side. Now you'd always get a much better effect when you're doing side-to-side. You know, some little bits you might not necessarily be able to kind of do the side-to-side motion, but just whenever you can, just try to use that. Now I'm gonna go down to number 4. I might skip 1 or 2 sometimes. So now rather than go down to number 3, I'm gonna go down straight to number 2. So I don't need the 3. And just let it go kind of back over the bits, just get like an extra bit of blend in it. And then once I've done that, I'm gonna go down to my CG1. Just to get a nice complete fade with it, like that. So see, that's the eye bits there done. And once I've got the eyes done, I'm going to start focusing on little corner bits first, and then we'll start adding extra details afterwards. So by corners, I mean bits kind of sit underneath and little bits here, like you see here. This kind of sits a little bit underneath, so I'm going to have a bit of shadow there. And a bit of shadows coming from this bit. It might cover a fair bit of design sometimes on this bit, but that's just part of it, don't worry about that. So you start off with my grey tone on top of that. And then again, just keep going down through your shades. Until you get to your bottom one. Down to my CG1. Just like that. Then what I like to do for this bit, so I'm not going to use my black for this, but I like to get a little bit of shadow just on the teeth. So what I'm going to do is just start from the side bit here. Start off with a little bit of dark grey. Just work my way across. So say I'm going to use the 5 on those back teeth. I'm going to use a little 4 on the corner of the strip of these next 2 teeth. And then say use number 2 on the next 2. Basically want to get lighter and lighter as we kind of get inwards. And then I'm going to use the number 1 on these 2 ones just here. And then just blend over the edge with the number 1. That way you just get this nice kind of like blending in towards the middle pattern. Now, which I'm quite a big fan of. Now I'm going to grab my number 2. I'm just going to go around the edge, just here with it. So I'm literally just drawing over the top of the teeth, not going inside the teeth with this. So I said, you know, you can either sort of draw the pattern like, you know, I said about before, using the solid liner. But for this one, I'm not doing that, I'm just going over it with the marker. And sometimes you don't need a hard edge line. So on the bottom bit just there. And once that's done, just look at it, see if there's any little details extra on add. So I'm looking at here inside the eyes, I'm thinking I want to do some little dots. I think it might be pretty cool inside this space. So I'm going to do little dots inside each one of these flower bits. And because I've not done these, I'll make sure I colour in those little bits last. Just give that ink enough time to dry. You know, especially with colour, because if there's any kind of wetness to the ink left, you know, if you go over colour, you kind of sort of smudge it a little bit. You know, so sometimes it's just handy when you sort of done your colour and stuff, just to kind of give it enough time to dry afterwards. Just now I've got it done, I'm going to look at it to see if there's any other little colour bits I want to add, which I might do. I might just add a little bit of grey just here at the bottom, just underneath this chin. Just going to get a bit of curvature to it. And possibly just a little bit just going around the side part of the head, just over here. Just here, and maybe a little bit just come over here, just kind of give a sense that this eyebrow bit here is kind of bumping up a touch. Now, but you want to be fairly subtle with that, so I'm going to use that, and then just come down with my number 1. just kind of blend that out. You know, just enough to kind of sort of tell the curvature. You don't add too much, just enough for the curve. So now we've got it done, I'm going to go into colour. So I'm going to start off with my reds. I'm going to use my berry red for this. And I'm going to go berry. I'm going down to a few colours. So I'm going to blend this out. I'm going to just flare up here in a few bits, but I want to blend it out. So I'm going to go into reds. And the red's going to go into rose pink. And rose pink's going to go into a pale pink. So I'm basically going down the tone. So if you're drawing on paper, you just want to fade out the reds. Obviously, when you're doing a marker, you need to go down colours. So the idea is going to fade it out. So I'm going to start up here. I'm going to bring this red around here. Bring it a little bit more. You can bring it out as far as you want. I think I'm going to bring it out to about there. And now I've done that, I'm going to hit it with a pale pink on the edge. Sorry, not a pale pink, the rose pink rather. Sorry, I don't want to confuse you guys. And once I've done it with the rose, now you've done it with the rose pink, hit it with a pale pink. Just to kind of blend it out. Like so. So just get a nice little blend with the reds. And then other little bits I'm looking at, I think I might do reds. I'm going to do maybe inside this keyhole. You know, I want to be red, you know, a nice kind of sort of dominant colour in this. And I might have red. Yeah, I'm going to have red in this bottom section just down here. So I'm going to colour this bit here in red. So we've got red in a few little locations, possibly just here in the side bits. I'm going to leave a little gap as well, so I've got a little white edge just around the outside part just there. And that'll do it for the reds for now. You know, I'm not sure if I'll come back to it, but for now, no, I don't want to go too crazy with that. So now I'm going to go in with a turquoise into a mint green. You can use any kind of like green if you want with this. It's just the colours I like to use. You know, they blend together really nicely. So I'm going to start off here, just marking in these little areas. And then those tips, I'm going to hit with the mint green. Like so. And where else do I want to use this? I might use this maybe on a couple of these tiers. So I'm going to use that turquoise on that one. Maybe the mint green on the middle. And I might go into a different colour on the outside edge part. So now you've got that done. You've got to decide if you want to put any kind of colour in the skull. Which I might do. I'm thinking I might use a bit of mint green and I might use a bit of cool aqua for this. And possibly a bit of the China blue. So I'm going to start off down here. I'm going to work this coming from the bottom bit. Don't want it to be too strong. Just kind of want to kind of like tint certain areas really. So I'm going to bring down here just a little bit around the side part of those teeth. Look in this cool aqua just over the edge, just to kind of blend it out a touch. Now I think I'm going to hit a little bit of mint green into this, just to kind of like give it this nice kind of cool colour sort of tone. So I'm just going to kind of flick this over the edge a touch. Just kind of like that. I like that. And now I'm going to go for the China blue for this, I think. I'm going to go around that grey we done around the teeth. Just like so. Just like that. I'm going to bring a little bit as well, where I'm going to do it just on the side part of this head, just here. A little hint of it just over there. Not too much, just a hint. So again, from that I'm going to go with a cool aqua. Just going to bring this bit over those eyebrows. Just going to cover it a little bit around here, so it's on that cheekbone area. little bit here, just kind of hints I got a bit above the eyebrow. I'm just going to flick a little bit, just come up in between each one of those teeth sections, just flicking up a touch. And lastly, just a little bit on either side of that nose. And just a little bit above it, just there. So again, I'm going to go back to the mint green now. Just going to use this to darken up just some of those little edge parts. And I might re-hit a little bit with cool aqua afterwards, because the cool aqua is the lightest part of it. Now, if you kind of want to blend it out a little bit more, it's the way to do it. So now I've got that in there, it's going to grab the cool aqua. And again, just re-hit some of those areas just to kind of blend out a nice mint green colour. So now I've got that done, I'm going to hit it with some yellow. For this, I'm going to use my amber tone. That's right, it's my sunflower, where's my amber one? There we go. My amber, I might use a bit of canary yellow, and I might use my firebrick if I can find it. There's my firebrick. Yeah, possibly just for a few lures, I'm not too sure, I might use that, might not. So we'll start with, so around the eye parts. So you get that a second to dry a little bit more. Use it around these bottom sections just here. And come across those first two, first three. Colour those bits in. Gonna come down the side bits just a little bit there. Colour in those circles. Use that canary yellow. Just across there. I'm going to use my firebrick a little bit here. I want to go over these teeth a little bit on the side, so I'm going to hit with just a little bit of firebrick on the side. The first couple of teeth. Just getting thinner and thinner as you go across. And then using the amber tone. So the same way we've done before, you're kind of using the firebrick as our dark tone. The amber as our second tone. And then that canary yellow is going to be like our third lightest tone. Bringing those in towards that centre. So just like that. So now we've got those teeth done. Gonna come back out here. Just hitting these areas now. Still a little bit wet around some of these. I don't know why it's taking so long to dry. Sometimes I find when you're doing dots, I think just kind of release a little bit more ink, so it just takes a little bit longer. So I'm just being gentle going around them. Now, if you're not brushing directly over it, then obviously you're not going to smudge it. Just got a little bit there on the side. Grab that canary yellow. I'm going to blend that out. Come over these side bits just here. And there's actually smudging this a fair bit, which is really annoying. Got this top section up here. Actually, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to top it black actually. Yeah, I like that. Sometimes it's good to remember, sometimes black is obviously a colour as well, and sometimes it's nice to have that. And now I've got done, I'm going to grab my Sharpie again and just look at, there's no little details I want to bring out. This is not a good point to do that. Sometimes it's nice to have that. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I really like how the eyes look, I really like how this looks, the teeth looks. I think maybe a thicker line in here and maybe a thicker line up here might do the trick. So what I'm going to do, not all of it, I'm just going to go over this outside edge part just here. Just to get this nice bold line on this part. Just there, I like that. Same on this bottom part here, I'm going to bring this line across. Just like that. And I think this key in the middle, I'm going to have this a bit bolder as well. Just like that. And then maybe last one just there, and just there. And there you have it, people. That's how you do that bit. And then lastly, you've got to decide what color you want to do inside the eyes. If you want to leave it blank, if you want to add colors. And I'm looking at it, and I think I'm going to go for reds. And I've got a fair bit of red in here, but I think red's going to look really cool. It's my favorite color for doing this. So I'm going to add red on the center part, just like this. I'm going to add more reds. Just in there. And lastly, just there, and just there. So that's our sugar skull drawn up, people. You know, you can always add more to it. You can add little flowers around the edge and stuff. You know, you've got loads of little features. You know, if you want to add, learn more things, you know, that you might be able to add to it. You know, check out my playlist up here. You know, I've got my hand-drawn ones or whatever the other video is just up there. You know, I've got hundreds of videos on there. I'm sure you guys are gonna like. You know, remember, if it's your first time to my channel, make sure you click subscribe. You know, really important. It really does help. And yeah, just thanks for watching, people. And if you do draw this, make sure you tag my social media. I love seeing what you guys do. You know, I'm always happy to sort of, you know, comment and sort of like on them. You know, it's part of the fun. You know, I do these tutorials now, so I'd love to see that you guys actually do use them. So yeah, don't be afraid to tag me in them. I'd love to see what you guys do. But for now, people, I'm the Broken Puppet, and I'll see you next time. Peace.